As Teddy said, what a game, what a performance last night by San Diego State's basketball team. One game away now, tomorrow night against Georgia Tech at Viejas Arena. One game away from going to Madison Square Garden for the Final Four of the NIT.
And we got him in our place.
Yeah, and we're going to be broadcasting there live tomorrow.
Wow.
So right in front of Viejas Arena, right up at the very top.
Mm-hmm.
And so here is Coach Steve Fisher returning to the Scott and BR show, and this has been really quite an exciting run. And yet another game tomorrow night. Hi, Coach.
How we doing?
Hey, we're good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How's that refried beans and tacos?
Oh, Coach.
So good.
People all over who are listening to this are going, all right, I'm going tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I got to have the white queso.
Queso's good.
I got to have the refried beans.
Coach, you have no idea. It's fantastic.
Yeah, my mouth's watering as I was listening, driving home.
Coach, when we first started talking about the disappointment of not making the NCAA tournament, little did we know that there would be 3 home games. This has been an amazing run. Did you have an expectation that it would go like this?
Yes, we did. When we got in initially, we were, they now seed the NIT. They didn't used to do that until I think 2 or 3 years ago. We were a 2 seed. South Carolina was a 1 seed in our region. So we knew we would have 2 home games if we won, with the possibility of hosting only if Georgia Tech were to win. And they did, and we are. So we're very excited that we're playing, and more excited that we're playing in Viejas. Our crowd, I know, Scott, you were there last night. Our crowd was unbelievably good, weren't they?
They were, Coach, I said to Billy Ray earlier, I think it was, in my opinion, the best atmosphere of the entire season.
Wow.
I don't know how you felt.
I think it very well might have been. There was immense energy in the building from pregame right through the final buzzer to end the game. And part of it, I do think, was the opponent, a name school, Washington, who drubbed us last year. We scored 36 points in the game. But part of it was we had a lot of fans that got in and bought tickets that hadn't been able to buy tickets. And I think that added to the excitement and energy.
I think you're right. Why do you think, Coach, that Malik Pope has, in, say, the last maybe 3 weeks or so, has seemingly elevated his game? Why so?
That's what you're supposed to do. And I think that's what our Aztec fans had hoped would happen from day one. It didn't. He was somewhat inconsistent, spotty in his play, didn't get as many minutes as maybe he thought he would, and it's taken a while. But now he's rounded into a consistent double-double guy who's playing up to his abilities, and it's good to see for all of us.
It's not just the three-point shooting, because last night he was only 1 for 2. He definitely has become a much better defender with blocked shots. But, Coach, he's got a flair for the entertainment side of it, because he has had a couple of massive dunks in the last few games, and he knows, you can tell, he knows that he's bringing the crowd and his teammates into the energy when he goes in for those big dunks. Don't you feel that?
Absolutely. He knows he's got a unique talent. He knows that he has the ability to do things that not a lot of players do. And it's exciting to watch. And I'm very proud of what he's doing. And he's grown exponentially in his confidence, too, in what he can do. Playing tougher. He's playing physically tougher, mentally stronger, and with a great deal of confidence right now that's great to see.
Do you feel like that transfers over to the other players in the room?
Well, Winston is our emotional leader.
Mm-hmm.
But Malik, when you have a player play well, it helps everybody in the room. The scouting board, they circle him twice, so it opens up a Matt Shrigley, who was 4 for 5 from three-point range, and others. Trey and Jeremy are able to attack the rim a little more aggressively because they're fearful of, where's Malik? I got to watch Malik. So good players make others a little bit better, and Malik is doing that. I got one thing that I want to share with you, and you may have heard me talk about it afterwards. to tell you a little bit about our team and Malik in particular, when they were making a run, they cut it from about 14 to 6 or 7. With about 7 minutes to go, Malik was out, and I put him back in. I was putting him back in for Zylan Cheatham. He's at the scorer's table, and Zylan had a ferocious dunk play where he made a phenomenal play. Malik walked back to me and said, "Coach, Malik just made a great play. What about letting him play a little longer?"
Wow.
And I said, "Sounds good." And I told our players in the locker room today about that. Not many players, and probably not many on our team, would have done that. I mean, we all thirst for minutes and opportunity. And in that moment, he's saying, let's let Z have a little longer run after he just made a great play.
I saw all of this happen because I was sitting right there. I saw this happen, and I couldn't. I'm so glad you mentioned this because I was going to ask you about it. Did I see Malik Pope get inserted into the game and essentially ask you to come out? And he's bending down because he's 6'11" and you're like 5'11", and he's bending down, and I can see that he's whispering something to you, and it's pretty obvious what's going on.
Right.
It was actually a fascinating moment.
Saw it, though, Scott.
No,
I don't think very many. I mean, you were right there. You obviously saw it, but I don't think many people did see and recognize what happened.
It was a fascinating moment, and it makes me hope that Malik Pope, who clearly his stock is rising, clearly the NBA scouts are taking notice to what's gone on with him in these last few weeks. It makes me hope that he says, I still want to play with Zylan. I still want to play with Trey and Jeremy, and we got a lot of kids that transfers coming in from Missouri and Indiana and a recruiting class. It makes me hope that Malik wants to stick around for at least another year, Coach. Do you think he will?
I don't know. They've changed the rule now in terms of giving players like Malik a longer window and a more of an opportunity to test the waters. You now have, I think, until April the 24th to put your name in, to say, I want to see what my stock is. Mm-hmm. And then you have until almost, I'm going to say 10 days, 2 weeks before the draft to pull it out. Whereas before you really couldn't have a workout if you put your name in. You either had to trust what others were telling you. Now Malik and others like him will have an opportunity to put their name in, get some workouts, get hands-on evaluation, and then make a better judgment in terms of, is it my opportunity? What is my opportunity? Should I go? Should I stay?
Coach Steve Fisher on Scott and BR on the Mighty 1090 tomorrow, playing against Georgia Tech at 6 o'clock. You'll hear the game here on 1090, and the winner goes to New York for the Final Four of the NIT. Coach, I want to talk to you about another guy, and that's Winston Shepard. You said he's the emotional leader, and last night, of course, he was the scoring leader as well, which he has been many times throughout his career. He had, and I don't know if you picked up on it, I was watching it, he had a weird sort of swagger to him last night. I don't know, I say weird, I don't want you to take it wrong. He just had the way he was walking, the way he was interacting with the crowd. At one point you were yelling to him, pass the ball, pass it quickly. And yet he kept making plays inside. And I got to say, Winston really has elevated his game in the last few weeks. How so?
Well, he's playing well. He's making plays. He's making baskets. He's efficient. 6 for 6 from the free throw line. I think he shot above 50% from the field. First game he had, I think, 7 assists and no turnovers, and he's playing good basketball. That gives you confidence as a player. You know that. And he's never lacked for confidence. Well, now the confidence is backed up with on-court performance, and it's great to see for all of us. Yeah. And I'm really happy for Winston. He knows he's playing well, and he's proud of what he's doing, but he also is proud of what we collectively are doing as a basketball team and program, and that's important to him. And he's verbalized that. So that's really a neat, 4-year culmination of a career that you mentioned it. There's been a love-hate relationship in a lot of ways from some people. But I would say right now, if you're an Aztec fan and you don't love Winston Shepard, then something's wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, he's doing a magnificent job for us.
I said to Billy Ray earlier, though, there's one player on this team. I said he's the epicenter of the energy of this entire program right now, and that's Dakari Allen. What happened? He got off to such a great start, cooled off in the middle, and has reheated here at the end. He's one of those guys who fights for balls that are on the ground. He comes away with balls. He makes dirty kind of baskets, and yet he can shoot from the outside, and he's a great defender. What happened to Dakari between the beginning to the middle to where we are today?
I think Dakari truly exemplifies what your mental approach and action and reaction and really attitude can do for you. Sometimes when it was early in the season, when he wouldn't play well, the whole world could see the frustration just seep through his whole body. And it affected him in a not so good way when he got on a little bit of a downward spiral. He has gotten himself to a stage now where he says one of our themes, next play, has the ability now, whereas he really didn't have before, to move into the next play and not dwell on what just happened. He knows the value he brings. He's now our best, most reliable lockdown defenders. He can guard multiple spots. You can move him around. Is there a guard that we need to put him on? Is there a small forward? Is it the shooter? He does those things with great delight. And what he's done also offensively, he's now become a much more efficient finishing dribble drive player. Before, he could get into gaps and angles and get it to the rim, but he never seemed to be on balance. He's worked very hard to be able to get in, almost slow his game down into slow motion and be able to finish plays. Done a great job, and the bulk of it's been Dakari from the neck up.
Can see that. I mean, I swear to you, I can see he takes things so hard, that kid. When things don't go right, when they're not perfect, man, does he take it hard and beat up on himself. I've sat there with my son right there at courtside and said, see how stupid that looks? And I don't mean to insult Dakari. I'm trying to teach my kid a lesson because you do the same thing.
Yeah, around.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Right.
And I am so happy for Dakari Allen because he is the energy on that team. Coach Steve Fisher on Scott and BR on the Mighty 1090. Coach, how about this? Tickets went on sale for tomorrow night's game to the general public 17 minutes ago. In 12 minutes, there were 2,200 tickets already sold.
Oh, my gosh. Good deal.
That is absolutely fantastic. And I'm so appreciative of our fans and their excitement for their team, for our team. And they have been invaluable into the growth of the program. I've said this before, when recruits come in and look at our crowd and then they go other places, there's no comparison to what they bring to create an atmosphere that's really major college basketball. And we owe them a great debt of gratitude and are very appreciative. We're all disappointed when we don't play well. We lost more home games this year than we had in the last 3 years combined. Nobody likes that, starting with me. And yet our fans are there, and they get off their cushions and their hands get moving, and they've done a great job for us. So I salute them. We're going to need them all tomorrow, so we need to take that 2,200 and make sure we have 12,414 that have got tickets.
You know, before this thing started, Coach, I asked a whole bunch of former players, would you rather make it to the NCAA tournament and get knocked out in the first round or win the NIT? And DJ and Akil both said, I'd rather make it to the NCAA and get knocked out in the first round. Having seen what I've seen these first two games and hoping, obviously, that we'll win tomorrow night, I got to say, this is the better way to go.
No doubt. Because
there are home games. You know, I know it sounds crazy because everybody expects now that San Diego State plays in the NCAA tournament, but having 3 home games, we thought the last home game was the UNLV game, senior night. This has been this has been two really great games, and tomorrow's going to be out of control, I'm sure of it.
No question it will be. And we've always preached, play the hand you're dealt. And this is the hand we're dealt. All of us wanted to be in the NCAA tournament. We're not in. We weren't selected as an at-large team. And now our tournament, the most important tournament going, is the NIT, because that's our tournament. There are 8 teams left, and we want to be the last one standing. We want to win that third game, go to New York, and we want to do what we couldn't quite do when Lorenzo and DJ and Richie Williams and that group, Kyle Spain, took us there the last time. It was a great memory. We want to go again. We got work to do. We got one more game to win before we get there, and then we got two after that to win. So we got a potential 3 games in 9 or 10 days. We want to maximize them. We want to be playing on that last Thursday right before the Final Four in Houston starts on Saturday.
Hey, and before you go, Coach, I think Scott needs to apologize to you for spreading an untruth about last night's game.
No. What did I do?
Earlier today, you said Coach was a little riled up.
Well, Coach...
And there was something he said on the sideline.
Coach, Linda thinks you're the perfect human being.
He is.
Coach, I know...
most of the time I am. I would agree with that. Most of the time.
But you have lapses of imperfection, do you not?
Not that I've seen.
I do, and that's why I don't want women and little children too close to the bench where they can hear everything I say.
Okay, so I said to Linda, I heard Coach say something last night that in 10 years of sitting right there, I've never heard him say. And she doesn't believe me. And I said, look, he may be perfect 99.9% of the time.
I don't believe it.
But that's, there's a tiny little percentage where Coach is not perfect. And you got very frustrated by a call last night with the officials. And you took a word that is right out of my personal everyday vocabulary.
Fudge?
Unfudging believable. And Linda just did not believe me that such words would come from such a perfect person, Coach.
Well, I'm not so sure I said that.
See?
I thought you were going to talk about my old age and say he said that he tried to put Kawhi Leonard back in the game.
Be great if you could.
Oh, my God.
I told you, Scott. See?
All right, maybe I misheard it.
All right.
Maybe I didn't hear
I
that.
think you misheard that.
Totally.
I
No doubt about
I
it.
misremembered is what I did. Coach, we'll see you tomorrow night. We're going to be broadcasting live from Viejas Arena up top. And love to have you stop by, and we can't wait for tomorrow night's game against Georgia Tech.
We're programmed like all athletes and groups are, so we will have our pregame meal 4 hours before the game at 2:00, and I might try to venture up right before I go over and get ready for the game. So you start at 3? Is that when you're coming?
Yes, sir. We'll be there 3 to 5:30. Then it's the pregame show, and then it's tip-off.
Sounds great. I look forward to seeing you.
Great.
Okay, Coach.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Coach.